안녕하세요. To get straight to the point, this is a review on the program I did over the summer. So, over the summer, I went to Korea for 3 weeks using a program called Langubridge. The main reason why I'm making this video is besides the fact to tell everyone how awesome this program is and how much I loved it. It's to inform people because there's not much information about Langubridge online, and it often makes you suspicious of this program about whether it's legit or not. Even the website itself is a little bit suspicious because it seems outdated. The only information I had to go off of when I found out that it was legit was YouTube video submissions about a contest that they have, and so I was definitely really wary of the program at first. However, I decided to go through with it after emailing the person like in charge of Langubridge, one of the people, and also messaging the girl who had won the Korea YouTube video contest. The premise of Langubridge: it is based in Canada, and it is meant for high school students and college students. However, you can also be older. Like for my program, we had a 40-year-old French teacher who taught at an international school, and we had a 28-year-old and someone who had just graduated graduate school. It covers 3 countries. It covers China, Japan, and Korea, and that's what I did. I did the Korea trip. And then it has 3 weeks and 6 weeks with A, B, and C. I did program A. Program B is also 3 weeks. A and B are 3 weeks, and C is 6 weeks. The costs vary between whether you do 3 weeks and 6 weeks, and the application itself is $80. I just want to put the cost out for anyone. Something that really interested me and caught my eye about Langubridge was that it was a homestay program. Like, that's what makes it different from Youth for Understanding or CIEE, is that it has a homestay program. So you're really immersed in the Korean culture, which I loved, and which probably helped my Korean a lot. Because these people can't really speak English. My host mom only spoke like a fair amount of English, and that was it. Like at most of the time, because I didn't have great I still don't really have that great of speaking Korean. We had to use a translator to speak, but I had 3 host siblings. I loved my host family so much. They don't know much English, and they don't have a phone really, so they are speaking in Korean to me while trying to kind of do some English. So it was a fun switchback of me trying to speak Korean to them while they're trying to learn English. It's really interesting to kind of have our different the interactions that I had with my host family. As for the TripAdvisor, my TripAdvisor that I had was absolutely amazing. I loved her. She always worried about us. She was great, and I think they chose really well. And communication-wise, Sophie Chen, she is like the advisor of Langubridge. She was really quick with responding to my emails whenever I had questions, and that was a big help. And also, something that makes Langubridge different than other programs, along with Homestay, is that you're actually learning the language instead of exploring Korea. So that means Monday through Friday you are in school. We were at Hanyang University, and the times kind of worked. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you were at school from 9 to 12:30. As for Mondays, you were at school from 9 to 5. So why the times differed was Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, you had activities after that they had planned out. So if you go to the Langubridge website, you will see that there's a schedule, and that's roughly about what we did. So there were different things like a K-pop Nanta drumming, or there was going to a spa, or we went to a Korean musical. So that was something that also really, really interested me. Or making kimbap, the fact that had activities that kept your schedule jam packed instead of just sitting around and doing nothing, which I think I honestly would have done if I was doing a different program. Also, something that's really nice about Langubridge is once you get your application in and you're accepted, they invite you to a Facebook page. And from there, you can start to communicate with others who are doing the program and also find out, like, oh, who's in A and who's in C, um, or who's in B. So from there, I was able to talk to a bunch of people who were in program A and C. And that was nice because I had friends when I was in Korea. By the time I had gone to Korea, there were people who I knew and I had spoken to. And that was just really comforting, I think. So as for Thursdays, which I haven't said yet, Thursdays were a free day. So you still had school from 9 to 12:30 or 12:50. But you had free time after that, which was really fun. So I would go out with friends a lot. Like we'd go to Hongdae or Myeongdong or anywhere really. And as for free time, even after the activities on Tuesdays, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll get to Saturday and Sunday later, you still have free time, but there is there's like a time when you have to be back if you're under a specific age, I believe, which is 9 or 9:30. If you are 18 or above, I think you can be out later, but when you're below that age, they have a time that you need to be back, and if you're not, then you can get in trouble. Like you can technically get grounded, which happened to some kids on our program, because they really care about, it gets dark and you're taking the subway everywhere, so they really care about your safety, and that was really nice because I'm anxious a lot, especially because I get lost easily. So the fact that they were so like conscious about your safety just made me feel so much better. And they were, like I said, we had a Kakao group chat for everyone, in A and C, and they would check up on us, like my trip advisor, they would check up, like sometimes like if you got home, if they knew that you were going to be out later, or if you weren't in class, they'd check how you're doing. We had a kiddo, but let's talk about Saturdays. Saturdays are a full day trip or full day activity, like an amusement park or going to a folk village, or I don't know what else they did, honestly. And the amusement park, like, it was so much fun. It's tiring. I mean, you're there in the heat for a while. But that Saturday's just jam-packed as well. And Sunday is a free day, so you can either go out with friends, but you can also, it's also a free day to be with your host family. And it's really fun to hang out with your host family. I know that sounds lame, but it is, like, my host family was so great. I loved hanging out with the kids. I had 3 younger siblings, a boy who was 8 and 2 sisters who were 10 and 12. And it was just so fun hanging out with them and like playing games with them, or we would play, like, we would chase each other, like, in the apartment that we stayed in. It was just honestly such a blast. Like, I loved my host family. I think they do a really great job choosing host families. As for classes, which I didn't really get too much into depth in, there are 3 levels. There's beginner 1, beginner 2, and advanced. To get placed in these classes, you take a placement test. And this placement test is pretty difficult, which makes sense because it's placing you in a class. It had a lot of grammar and like understanding, and then there's a speaking portion. And how the classes differ is beginner 1. It's like learning. It's made for people who know absolutely 0 Korean. So they're learning Hangul in the first week or two. As for beginner two, which I was placed in, these people understand Korean, but they're not exactly at the advanced level yet. So we were going, we had the same textbook as beginner one and the same workbook, but we were going through it fast. You know, we were finishing a chapter a day while they finished a chapter in a week. Um, as for the advanced class, I actually know what it was like because I moved up to advanced. One thing, going back to the fact that, you know, Langubridge taught Korean, I chose it because I wanted to learn the language. And it's also the whole fact that, you know, you are attending school, it does give you school credits, which is awesome for language. So technically I have a semester's worth of credits. And as for someone who's applying to colleges, this is really important to me because I also don't really have all of my language credits in yet. And the fact that I have a semester along with one semester completed, I technically have a year done of a language. It does matter what school you go to, like high schools, if they count it, and also if the colleges will count it. But you are going to school Monday through Wednesday, or Monday through Friday, like school during the school year. So that's really nice about Langubridge. In the beginner one and beginner two class, it's all taught in English and some Korean. As for the advanced class, if you want to make the jump, because they are really accepting about the fact that you might be placed in a class that's too easy or you're placed in a class that's too hard, you can move up or move down. So like I said, I moved up. And the jump from beginner two to advanced is a really big jump because advanced is taught in all Korean with some English. So it really forces you to listen and really works on your comprehension, which I think is important, which is something that I struggled with. I wouldn't say that my speaking got that much better, but definitely my understanding has gotten a lot better, which is understandable. But the teachers, the Sonsengnim, they're all amazing. They're great. That's redundant. I love them. The advanced class Sonsengnim was awesome. He was so funny. He'd always do like a peace sign and pose whenever we took a picture of the board. They chose some really great teachers though. As for like transportation, you're gonna mostly be using subways. You might use a taxi every once in a while, but subway is your main use of transportation, and you use a subway card to get around. I might get more into depth about like kind of my experience in Korea another time because I go on tangents a lot and talk a lot. But what's awesome about Hanyang is that it has its own train station or subway station. So you literally just walk down like a sidewalk and you're in a train station. And it gets you to a bunch of different places. And that's what I really liked about it too. I was really worried about getting lost, and I didn't. To be fair, I did have a friend who was helping me getting around a lot. But once you learn the system of the subways, it's easy to get around because it's in Korean, but it's also in English. And then there's different apps you can use that can help you get around. They also recommend apps, which is very helpful. I'm kind of like, I forgot to mention this, but when you get your application in and you're accepted, they also send you a packet of information. And it has a lot, from like subway etiquette to bus etiquette or how to speak to elders or just the culture of Korea and like packing lists. They're very detailed about it, which was, I think, helpful to many. As for me, my mom had kind of explained a lot of the etiquette because she was born in Korea, so she knows it. Also, random tip, watch out for motorcyclists. They will run you over. Happened to my mom. As for when it comes to how much better your Korean will become, it matters, honestly. It matters how interested you are in learning. Like, if you're if you plan on studying every night, then yeah, I think your Korean will definitely get better. And if you're really dedicated, then I think it does help. However, you are there for 3 weeks or 6 weeks, so it's not that much time. But if you are working hard enough, then like I know people who's like they started in the beginner one class, they did the 6 weeks, and their Korean was so much better by the time they'd reached the 6 weeks. So it really matters about the amount of effort you put in. Um, as for the textbooks that you use, this is the advanced textbook. I'll just open to a random page. You're also given homework daily, which is nice. It keeps you in check, right? And then he checks it every day and grades it. So you are working. You have to set aside time, as much as you might want to hang out with friends, to work and do your homework and sit down. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say. I could talk a lot about like tips, but I don't think I have time for that, honestly, because that would take a long ass time. Um, like overall though, about Langubridge, it was such an amazing experience. Like, I definitely want to go again next year, and I've made such awesome memories, and I've made a bunch of friends, and I always recommend it to all of my friends, like where I live. I recommend it because it's a bit different than others. It's a fully immersed program, and it's an intensive learning program too. So yeah, I'd say that's kind of my review on Langubridge. I hope for whoever watched this enjoyed it and helped them a bit, and realize that it is 100% legit. Here, I have photos. Wait, let me grab them. Here, like, we spent a lot of money on, oh my god, dude, we spent so much money. We spent a lot of money on, like, photo booths. Yeah, hopefully I'll make another video on Langubridge, kind of like my experience with it, that goes more in depth and other. Okay, thank you, bye-bye. I totally forgot to add, if you guys have any, like, questions or whatever, just ask, I guess. I don't know, ask. It's weird at telling people, like, ask comments. This is my mic. Let me just move it away from me. Oh, it's gonna pick up a bunch. You know what? No. We'll just... Hello. I plan on making another video, more of a Q&A, answering, I guess, questions that I wish I had known when I applied, and other shit like that, and maybe a tips thing. I will also put my video submission for this year, so you guys can have, a little sneak peek of what life at Langubridge is like. Bye-bye!